So now the question a lot of people are asking is what worked for Donald Trump? What went wrong for Kamala Harris?
Here to help us sort of unpack those questions is Jordan Abadea. She's a former press secretary for Governor J.B. Pritzker. First off, Harris did win here in Illinois, but she didn't have the kind of margins that past candidates have had, Democratic candidates have had. So what fell short for her?
I think she was running in an unprecedented situation where she had 4 months to run an entire campaign and introduce herself to the American people. And so I just feel like there were a lot of voters who said, I don't really know who she is, or I view her as a continuation of the Biden administration, and I'm just going to vote for the other guy. And so I wouldn't take a lot of stock in the fact that she is so close to losing in Illinois. I don't think that there's a big problem that we have, because we know that Trump really brings out voters in droves based on solely his personality.
So do you think the timing of when she entered the election and maybe potentially distancing herself from Joe Biden would have made a difference?
I do think that that would have made a difference. I do think if she had the ability to run an entire campaign, be a part of a primary process, really come out of that process stronger, build a coalition around, she probably would have had a better chance, and her numbers in Illinois probably would have looked a little better.
Let's talk a little bit about the Latino vote swung towards Donald Trump. What do you make of that?
Look, we have said for years now, particularly in the Democratic Party, and as we've looked at data, that the Latino community is not a monolith. You cannot treat them like that. Just as we have educated and non-educated white voters, we have suburban and rural voters, we have that in the Latino community. And I think sometimes when you're speaking to the Latino community, they are spoken to as one. And so I think when we really drill down in this data, exit polls are not the most reliable data, but when we do start drilling down in some of this data, we'll have to take a look at what messages resonated with them, what issues were their top issues, and how do we make sure we're talking to each pocket of the Latino community individually.
Let's talk a little bit more about some of the other demographic groups. Like young people really came out for Trump. Was that a bit of a surprise for Democrats?
Young men came out for Trump, which I think is a troubling new trend that we are seeing. And I think that really speaks to the fact that we have conservative young women and conservative young men who are living in a different ecosystem than their counterparts on the more liberal side. And particularly the men, I don't think that they ascribe to any sort of particular party. I think what they're prescribing to are the podcasts and the social media that they're consuming that is telling a story about being a stronger man or being able to provide for a family. And those are the things that they feel like they can't do right now in this current economy.
A lot of people did talk about the economy. Do you think that was a huge factor as well? Just telling people, because people, the economy may be doing well, but when people can't pay for their groceries and they can't buy a house, is the perception really what affected this race as well?
Any political strategist will tell you the economy can look one way on paper, but it's really about how people feel. And people feel like the economy is not working in their favor right now. Unfortunately, Kamala Harris had a plan to make the economy feel like it was working for people by giving job creators tax credits and giving you a tax credit to buy a new home and helping you if you have a new baby at your home. But those didn't really resonate because people viewed her as someone who was a continuation of this economy that had high prices for them. And they said, you know what, I'm willing to just give the other guy a try and see what he has.
So we did not hear from Kamala Harris last night. Right around midnight, her campaign said that she would not be speaking at her alma mater, Howard University. She is expected to speak a little bit later this afternoon, right around 3 o'clock our time. What should we expect to hear from her, given the results?
Look, you'll expect to hear from her a message of unity, that this is really about putting the country over party, and that it's time that we all come together as Americans and move forward together. I expect no less from her. She will not attack Donald Trump. She will be ready to put the country first, and that's what we're going to hear from her today.
One quick question. Do you expect JB to start a campaign for 2028?
Ooh.
I think the governor loves his job, and I think his job just became more important than ever with Trump in the White House.
Okay, that's a non-answer. She's experienced.
Jordan,
we appreciate it. Thank you, Jordan.
Thank you.